there, I'm going to show you how I quilt what I call peas on a string. Works great for any kind of large open area, a block or an open square that you might have. And I'm showing you first on a stand-up long arm, and then later in the video, if you want, you can fast forward and watch how I do it on a sit-down machine. That would be more like your domestic. So I'm working on a Handy Quilter Avante long arm, just so you can see it. And I just think that Handy Quilter makes, in my opinion, the best machines for the best money that you can get. Really reliable and smooth. All right, so here we go. We stop at the start. We don't stop. We start at the top of our design. And we're going to come straight down. And we're going to think of this as little number 9s all connected together in a row. I think I'm making them about an inch and a half apart. And now we're at the bottom, and we kind of have a pretend seam down here. Now we're going to go over and travel stitch on this line about a 1/2 inch, and now we're going to work up. And I'm going to try and place a little circle or a P in between where I've stitched the other ones. So here we go. This is a little bit harder because your brain isn't as used to doing number 9s in this direction. So I kind of go a little bit slower when I'm doing this row, both on the stand-up long arm and on a sit-down domestic machine. I pause a little bit more, take my time. And you see I've tried to stagger the dots so they're in between where I had them before. So now we're back at the top again, which I really like. And we're going to go down, and it feels much better. You just don't have to think as hard when you're doing something that you already have muscle memory for, which is why long armers and quilters will always tell you to practice drawing your designs before you get up to the machine. Half the battle is your brain knowing where to go next. And then we're going to go over about a 1/2 inch and go back up. Now, if you get off and your circles are not perfectly staggered, or you're a little bit more or less than a 1/2 inch between, that's okay. You're just trying to make your circles approximately the same size. Do I have a little visitor in the room? I hear mommy. All right, we finished that row, so I can turn it off. I always have to turn the machine off before I turn and look at the kid and answer the question so I don't sew my fingers. Okay, I did a few more rows and didn't film it, forgot to film it, but we're back on now, and I just want you to see how cute that pattern is, that overall look. We can maybe zoom in a little bit. Sometimes you might find that you have trouble making your little pearls or peas perfectly round. See, this one's kind of oblong and flat there. That's normal. It happens a little bit, but don't be too hard on yourself. I think as you practice more and more, you'll get better at doing round circles. And a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago, I posted a video on stitching pebbles. And in that video, it focuses on how important it is to practice pebbles, because so many of the other quilting designs have circular features to them. And so it's really great to have that as a skill that you're working on as you're working on all of the other skills as well. So that's why I introduced it pretty early in all of these free motion quilting designs. Okay, I'm going to show you how to quilt on the sit-down machine now. Okay, I'm going to briefly show you how I quilt peas on a string on a sit-down machine. It's basically the same as the stand-up long arm, but sometimes it's helpful to see the difference. So I'm going to start at the top. I've already brought up my bobbin thread, and I'm holding both threads in my left hand, and I've got my quilting gloves on for more control. And I'm just going to sink my thread down into the batting and backing a couple of times to secure it. And here we go. Just like the other machine, the stand-up long arm, I'm quilting the number 9 over and over. It's okay if you wobble a little bit. And let's do one more here. All right, and now I'm going to move over about a 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to go along this pretend seam line. right there. And now I'm going to move up backwards. So backwards number 9s, which are a little bit harder, just like on the stand-up machine. And I'm going to try and sink those circles in between the first row of circles that I already stitched. So here we go. I'm going to pause here so I can get my hands just a little bit closer and get more control again. And back at the top again, and I can go over and do one more row. Moving over about a ½ inch. I do have my stitch regulator on. I don't know if you can see it, but it's clipped on. It measures the speed with which I'm moving the fabric across the table. So it will help regulate how fast the needle is moving up and down, depending on how fast I'm moving the fabric. If you don't have the stitch regulator, that's okay. You can do this without a stitch regulator. No problem. It just takes a little practice. That's it.